Okay, so I'm about to vent a little bit, and before I get started, this video is about sending and receiving money to China and how to do it. If that doesn't apply to you, this video isn't for you. But I need to vent my frustration, and hopefully, people out there will listen to my little story, and you guys can not make the same mistakes that I did. Okay, so receiving money in China is a lot more difficult compared to most countries. In most countries, you can easily do it by PayPal or international transfers or whatever. But China is its own thing. It has its own law regarding receiving and sending money, and so far, the easiest way I found to send money is through PayPal or Western Union. Unless you have an international bank card, and make sure you have an international bank card that goes through China, because there's many places and many banks in China that don't have international banking, especially places like Xi'an, where I live. In Xi'an, you will not find an international bank anywhere. The only way you can receive money in Xi'an is through Western Union, but you can also send money through PayPal. That's the confusing part. Now, so far, I found three ways to send or receive money, unless you already have an international bank, and unless the city that you're in has an international bank, you can withdraw money. If you can't, you just can't withdraw or send money. It's impossible with an international bank. It's impossible physically. Also, if you have a bank that has an app where you can scan the check, and the check can go through your bank, but just by scanning, then that's fine. If you don't have that, you might need another option. So then there's PayPal. PayPal, you can send money easily, but to receive money is a little more difficult because you need the. It says that you don't need. You can put on any bank account and it's fine, and you can receive money. However, that is a lie. You have to have a bank with your exact name. How do I know this? Because I tried. Tried to send money to myself in China, and I found it being very difficult and very annoying. And what you can do if you can't withdraw money to your bank account, let's say you have a wife or somebody, and this is just what I did. You send money to somebody, and they just give you the money back after you pay a big fee. That's one way to do it. It's not the most ideal way to do it because it's most expensive. However, the easiest way, in my experience, to send and receive money in China is through Western Union. And Western Unions in China, though, you're going to wait through a long ass line. You're probably going to be in line for at least an hour before you even get to your Western Union. On top of that, when you do that, what also I found frustrating about the Western Unions in China is that when you write your name and your address and all that, it has to be the exact same name. It has to be written and spelled the exact same way. Uh, it's you may be saying, "What are you talking about?" Like, you have no idea what I'm talking about, do you? Because you haven't experienced it. When you go to a bank and you have to withdraw Western Union, you have to fill out the paperwork. The paperwork, the address, your signature, all has to be written the exact same way. If there's even a little like if you write B like slightly differently on your signature, they're gonna deny you. If you don't put your full name, but someone that sent you money didn't tell you, oh, we put your full name instead of just your first and last name. If they see you didn't put your full name in the paperwork, they will deny you. How do I know that? Because I've experienced it both times. I, at one time, spent 3 hours at Western Union in China just filling out paperwork. Uh, I filled out paperwork at least 4 times in those 3 hours. And it was late in the afternoon. It was like 3 o'clock. Yeah, it was 3 p.m., definitely. And I filled out paperwork. I gave it to the guy. He says there was an error in my paper because I didn't write the B the exact same way that it was written. Like, you know, uh, it's a little confusing to explain unless I show you, but it has to be the exact same spelling, handwriting type. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you didn't spell it the exact same way you wrote it, like, it's a little frustrating. So I went back. I said, okay, whatever. And I filled out my paperwork and went back again. And he says, hey, there's something else you wrote differently. You didn't write a period there or something here, a comma. I forgot what it was, but he told me there was something else. And at this point, I was getting slightly annoyed because I was like, hey, I wrote it down. It's the exact same words. This is me. Like, this is my ID. I would like my money. Okay, but can you go back and rewrite your paperwork? Blah, 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 blah. So I went back a third time. Each time to write the paperwork takes at least 30 minutes to an hour because it's a lot of paperwork. So I went there, filled out the paperwork, and then finally when I'm done, each time I had to fill out the paperwork, I had to wait in line. I had to wait in line again. That's why I was frustrated the second time because I had to wait in line like an hour each time. So I finished the paperwork and I get there. I'm waiting in line, and finally I get to the Western Union and I'm sitting down. The guy's doing my paperwork, and they read carefully. They read every single detail in your paperwork. I don't know why they do that. I understand that English isn't their first language, but it is a little frustrating because every time he read my paper, every single time he took like at least an hour each time. And so every time I did at least one paper, wait in line, sat down, let him read it, the whole process took at least an hour and a half. And so finally, he's in the middle of reading I'm not shitting you. What I'm about to say, I'm not shitting you. He was reading my paperwork. He was in the middle of my paragraph of the paperwork, and finally he just stops and goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, we're closed. You have to come back tomorrow." And at that time, I flipped my shit. And I was like, look, motherfucker, I've been waiting here almost 3 hours waiting for you to give me my fucking money because I'm broke and I need to pay for my apartment and all that. And I sent money to myself and blah, 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 blah. And I didn't mean to, but I just started yelling, and the guy seemed surprised that I was yelling. Like, this is the third fucking time I wrote this, blah, 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 blah. Like, what the fuck? All because I wrote a B differently than how it's written on the paper, all because I wrote this and that differently how it's written on the paper, all because I didn't write my signature the exact same way it was written earlier because I had a little curve differently. So yeah, Western Union is definitely the easiest way to send and receive money in China, but like both scenarios of having an international bank account or PayPal, it's still somewhat frustrating because if you don't have a bank account that's in your exact same name on PayPal, you can't do it. And in China, there's not that many international banks, and you have to go to a specific city to find an international bank. Basically, in Shanghai, Beijing, or Hong Kong, if you're not in any of those cities, you're kind of fucked because you won't find an international bank. If you do, congratulations to you, but you probably won't. So those are my experiences. I just wanted to share that. So hopefully it can help some people that decide to visit China and know what to expect. If you need to send money or receive money from your family or friend or wife or whatever the case is, just know it is somewhat frustrating and it is kind of annoying because in China they don't really have mailboxes. They send their mails to different stores. So what I take from this is Western Union is definitely the easiest way to send and receive money. But be aware that if you don't write your paperwork the exact same way, you're going to get denied, and you're going to wait in line a long ass time like I did. All right, so don't be afraid to argue a little bit. Hey, man, that's me. That's my signature. Blah 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 blah. And like, yeah, I was just really frustrated that when he got to the middle of my paperwork, he just stopped and said, "Well, we're closed. We gotta go." He could have told me that like an hour before. Hey, we're gonna close. You just come back tomorrow. At the time, it was 5 o'clock, and I was waiting in line. And going back to international bank accounts again. If you don't have an international bank account, you're kind of fucked. But if you do, you're kind of fucked because you have to be a specific city. If you have a PayPal, you can send money, but receiving money is a little bit difficult because if you don't have a bank account in your exact same name, it's not gonna help unless you have a wife or somebody in China. You can send money to that person, and that person can give you money, but you will have to pay a big fee for that. So those are my experiences. I hope this information helps you, whoever is out there, whoever needs this type of information. That's my experience, and I hope you don't have to go through the frustration like I did. So I'll see you guys later. Peace out.